Hello everybody and welcome to the first video of the Legacy Lives channel. My name is Samori Williams, author of the upcoming book series The Legacy Lives, and today I'll be showcasing Rose Amazon, one of the main characters of book 1. Now, some of you may be wondering why I'm not starting off with Brady, my protagonist, and the main reason is because as of now, his drawing isn't as good as my other released works out there. However, to honor him as my main character, he will have the spotlight of the next video, and at some point down the line, I'll be redrawing him. Now, back to Rose. At some point, you'll see me drawing her hands, and as some of you may know, there's a bit of a running gag in the art community, where everyone hates drawing hands, and I used to be a part of that crowd. I'd either draw the hands behind another body part, or simply draw them as a fist. But here I'm putting their mitts on full display. In all honesty, drawing hands isn't actually that hard. As I've gotten older, I've actually grown to like drawing hands. I actually like the way they look. They had a bit of a, they make the drawing a lot more dynamic. And one of the simplest ways to get it done is to simply look at your own hand while drawing. Hold out your hand and boom, just like that, you have an IRL reference on demand. Now, where drawing actually gets hard is with poses. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too good at that. I'm very shackled in the way that I draw poses. And I try not to stray too far from, just the basic standing upright, looking straight ahead type of drawings. Especially when it comes to drawing heads at an angle. Now, I think this is a good time to give a bit more background on my story and where it takes place. And even though it mainly takes place in the continent of Geista, instead I'll start with Promethea and its 5 nations. In Promethea, there's the Air Kingdom, which is based on Switzerland, the Flame Empire, which takes after a mix of ancient Rome and feudal Japan. There's the Earth Kingdom, which are based on medieval Europe. There's the Lightning Kingdom, based on Dubai, and finally the Water Kingdom, which are based on ancient Greece. Now, with that out of the way, I'll briefly go over Geista, which is based on America a little bit in 2012, but instead of a presidential system, they instead have a democratic monarchy. Now, as y'all can probably tell, each nation in Promethea correlates to the powers that the race of their people possess, but not everyone there is born with elemental abilities. In fact, 6% of all Prometheans are born without any powers at all. Now, that's a lot better than Geista, because in Geista, only 16% of people are born with powers. And those powers are called deviant abilities. A deviant ability is basically a superpower that isn't based upon anything that's elemental or man-made. So think of things like super strength, durability, or even telekinetic powers. Now back to Rose. Another thing that y'all could probably tell is that Rose is from the Earth Kingdom. Specifically, she's from the Plant Clan, which is one of the 3 clans that make up the Earth Kingdom, which is Earth, Wood, and Plant. The only kingdom to have a subclass like that is the Water Kingdom, where you can either be born with the power to control water or control ice. So what exactly can Rose do with her control over plants? Well, for Rose, she can summon spiked vines from anywhere on her body. Of course, her powers do develop a little more as the story progresses, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Now, as y'all can tell from this illustration, in one hand, she's summoning a lasso made out of vines, and in the other hand, she made a blade out of her vines, which she can use to fight her enemies with. And she does a lot of fighting in this story. Before coming to Geista, Rose was one of the royal guards of the Earth Kingdom, essentially meaning that she was one of the strongest mages in her kingdom and was sworn to fight along the side of her king and queen if ever needed. But now that she's here in Geista, what does she find for now? Well, it's revealed in the story early on that Rose was a child refugee in a war, something that happened between the Earth Kingdom and the Lightning Kingdom about a few years before the story began. During this war, by a stroke of luck, she was saved by Catherine Amazon, one of the royal guards of Geista and leader of the Green Hoods. It was Catherine who taught Rose how to fight, among other things, but also gave Rose a way to someday find her again once she finally became an adult. Unfortunately, by the time that Rose finally makes it to Geista, a new sinister force has begun to take over, and it's at that point she joins with Brady and his crew to help fight back. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. By now, y'all probably heard the name Amazon for the 3rd time. You've heard it with Rose, you've heard it with Yolanda, and you've heard it with Catherine. In actuality, it's not a last name at all, but instead it's more like a title. You see, Amazon is a title that a select few of my female characters have picked up, and to be one, you must possess at least one of 2 traits. You must have either an innate desire for combat, or 2, an obsessive interest for knowledge. Now, I'll try not to spoil much as this YouTube series goes on, but the lore and history of the Amazons goes much, much deeper than you could ever think, especially in books 3, 4, and 7. Now here I'm going to bring up an old drawing of Rose, just to really show how much this character has changed. And honestly, she hasn't changed way too much. Sure, her shirt has changed a little bit in color, it's a bit lighter than in the old drawing, but she got most of her design from that drawing I just brought up. Granted, this isn't my very first drawing of Rose that I've ever made. In fact, the first one that I've done was either around 7th or 8th grade, and if I ever get the chance, I'll show y'all that one too. And really a lot of changes have taken place ever since I've gotten to drawing. But before I get into that, what got me into writing in the first place? For me, I had grown up upon cartoons, particularly among the likes of Teen Titans, Naruto, Power Rangers, and The Secret Saturdays. And that really inspired me growing up, because I wanted to create a story that would recreate the feelings I had as a kid. I wanted to create a story about a group of heroes set up against well-written villains, and I wanted to really showcase their struggle against evil and their efforts to save the world that they live in. And through my efforts of crafting the story, my books have went through a lot of changes since the 3rd grade when I first begun. For example, the series itself originally didn't have an overarching name. Instead, book 1 was called Bravery Guy, the 2nd book was called Red Knight, and the 3rd was called The Last Knight, all pertaining to the main characters of the books in question, which is a lot different from what I have now. Now it's called The Legacy Lives, right? You got book 1, Golden Eagles, book 2, Jaista's Most Wanted, and book 3, Revelations. And a lot of characters had their names and designs changed, and for some of them too, their powers were reworked. Like for example, Brady was originally called Bravery Guy, Zelos was Happy Face, and Rose was Roses. So Rose is actually one of the least changed characters in my story, besides her design, which was completely overhauled, by the way. Now, in all honesty, Rose herself hasn't actually made too many changes. Really, it was just her design, and as I remastered the story from, the writings that I made since 3rd grade, instead Rose has become stronger. Now, since I have a little bit of time here, I really want to thank you all for watching this first video with me. It took a long time to get this set up. I had to really go in and literally mission produce this whole thing. Spent a lot of time making the thumbnail and the outro and the script of this video. And I really do enjoy having this time here, because this has always been a dream for me, like to be here, sitting here with you guys, making this video. This is one of the things that, I really jumped up since a kid. And now we're finally here, we finally made it, alright? And we're one step closer to getting this book finally released for y'all. But anyways, since I have a bit of time here, I want to talk about another one of the projects that I'm working on right now. So I'm working on a little bit of a Christmas special. I don't have a name for it yet, but it's going to include 4 characters. It's going to include Catherine Amazon, which y'all already know of, but it's also going to include 3 more characters that y'all don't know of just yet, and they're going to be in future books. So one of them is going to be Andre. He's going to appear in book 2. Really cool character. You get to see him do a lot of cool things there. Don't want to spoil too much, those are all future books. And then the other 2 is the brothers, right? We have Colt Waller and we have Dallas Waller. So essentially in this little Christmas art special I'm going to be doing, it's going to be including basically every Christian character across my entire book series, from books 1 all the way up to 7. Now there is 3 more books after book 7. Honestly, those are really just going to be for fun. They're not going to be all too important. But trust me, it's going to be a great everything, bro. Like, that's all I can say. You got one guy riding on a horse. You got Catherine in the sky with her wings out, pointing to her little assault rifle at the camera. You got Colt Waller in his freaking Crusader armor and shit. So, trust me, it's going to be a lovely drawing for y'all. And I'm working on it, not right now obviously, but I've been working on it. I'm nearly done with the sketch. So soon I'll be able to release that sketch for y'all, and y'all will get to see the artworks for yourself. So here you finally see me get to more of the coloring process of the drawing, and I'm getting over to her hands here and her arms and the clothing, and you finally see the color come in on that sword. Now I will say the colors don't exactly match the original drawing, but I actually kind of like the lighter red as opposed to the darker one. But honestly, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything that y'all really like about this drawing. Personally, I like the green eyes that she has. I think that really contrasts the darker colors in her character and the armor that she has. It makes it to where she looks like she's in a modern setting, but it doesn't overdo it and make it look too fantasy, Here I'm drawing the black pants that she has on, and I have to actually lower the opacity of the back. That way I could actually see the line art that comes behind it, Which actually really does help out if y'all ever want to get into drawing. Now, I will say this now, only the first few of my YouTube videos will include the sketch portion of my illustrations. At some point during my content creation journey, I did stop screen recording that part, and instead started to jump straight ahead to the line art portion. But if y'all ever want me to bring that back and include the sketches and my time lapses, just make sure to hit me up in the comments down below. But while we're at it, another advice that I have when it comes to doing digital art is to really take advantage of that select tool and the copy and paste tool. Like if you have an eyeball, for example, or not necessarily an eyeball or just an eye, draw one eye and then copy and paste it to the other side. Or as y'all saw me do a bit earlier in this time lapse with the or as y'all saw me do a little bit earlier with the nails that she has on, I copy and pasted each nail that she has instead of having to individually do it. And I really did take advantage of that a lot later in my future drawings. Another advice that I'd give to when you're drawing is to always make sure that you flip the canvas every once in a while. Because as you're drawing and as you're physically, or not physically, but gradually seeing the process of the drawing, your brain will like get used to the mistakes that were made early on in the drawing. And then at some point you're gonna show it to another person and they're gonna be like, hey, why is there anatomy mess up here? Or why is that one eye higher than the other? And you won't see it because you got used to it while drawing the picture. So make sure to flip the canvas every now and then. That way you can, essentially by flipping the canvas, you're seeing it how other people will see it. And that's exactly what you want to fix before releasing it to the public. Another thing that I'm working on right now is I'm making the first draft of book 3. I'm about a third way through. I'm at about 157 pages. Y'all are gonna really like book 3. Like, if I had to rank my favorite books, obviously I haven't written all of them yet, but I already know like the plots and endings of pretty much all of them by now. I'd say book 3 and 5 and 7 are easily my favorite. And when it comes to main characters, Athena and Rogue, phenomenal characters, phenomenal. I really can't wait for y'all to see them. Athena is going to be the main protagonist of book 3, Athena Amazon, and Rogue Forger is going to be the main protagonist of book 5. Really dynamic characters, really good backstories, and honestly I think y'all will really be able to relate to them a lot, so I'm really looking forward to getting that out for y'all. But you gotta get book 1 out first, alright? So essentially once I finish drafting book 3, I'm gonna go back, rematch the book 1, send that over to an editor. After that goes to an editor, I'm gonna try to get that published, and then finally, y'all will be able to get the first book of the Legacy Lives series. And yeah, I really want y'all to really root for me along the way, because like, this isn't just like a guy who's writing books. This is a journey. Alright, this is a journey that I'm taking y'all on, and I hope you're all ready for it. And then another thing, in the comments down below, let me know if there's any theories that y'all have in mind for how this series is gonna go. Because I know how the series is gonna go, and I wanted to see if y'all think the heroes will win, if y'all think the heroes will lose, or even if any characters will die. Because I'm not gonna lie, y'all have to be prepared, because a few characters do get packed up, and look, I wish they didn't have to go that way. But my fingers, they just wrote on the keyboard and they kind of just died, you know. I didn't make the decision. The story made the decision. All right, I didn't pack them up. The story did. So don't blame me. I didn't write that shit. But yeah, so let me know if there's anything y'all have below. So yeah, everybody, that was Rose Amazon. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. But also be sure to comment, because on future videos, I will be covering every comment in the comment section. That way I can answer questions about my characters, my plot, future story events. I won't be spoiling, of course, but I will be covering them. So stay blessed, and book 1 of The Legacy Lives will be with you all soon.